So today I'm going to show you why I think Bitcoin is headed down to 47K. Now this goes against the popular opinion right now, which is that this is a massive cup and handle and that we're about to have the greatest altcoin season of all time. Right? That's what everyone is saying, and they're all going to be wrong in my opinion. So it's a bold claim, it's a bold prediction by me, but you know, that's what I do. So I'm going to break it down to you and explain to you why I think Bitcoin, currently sitting at 57K, is more likely to drop down to 47K than it is to set an all-time high, right? From the all-time high, we're roughly 10,000 points away. From 47K, we're also 10,000 points away, right? So I'm basically making a bet. Do I think Bitcoin's going to hit a new all-time high, or do I think it's going to drop 10,000 points from where we are now? And you know what I think is down to 47K we go. Now, please be open-minded with me and realize this is coming from someone who was a bull yesterday. Okay, yesterday I posted this on Twitter. I said, I hope everyone's ready for the next leg up in Bitcoin. Okay, because I was looking at the daily chart, and to me it looked super bullish. It looked like we had convincingly set a bottom on this uptrend, right? So look at this picture here. Since we set the bottom at 29K, you can draw this uptrending line, which we've held support at once, and it looked like we were going to hold it twice here. But if this was the case, we'd be expecting probably a 70% move to the upside, which would take Bitcoin to 90K, which I thought was probably going to happen yesterday. And then today I changed my mind as I looked at the charts further. So just realize, okay, this is coming from someone who's just bullish yesterday, and I'm now convincingly switched my mind bearish. All right, so let me break this down to you guys, right? Everyone thinks cup and handle, breakout, massive alt season. I think they're all going to be wrong, and I'm going to show you right now in the chart. So let's look at Bitcoin on the weekly time frame. Guys, this is as bearish as it gets, okay? So right now, we're at the same levels where we set the peak over here back in, at 65K-ish, right? We're at the same level, right? And so what do you notice about the same level? Well, at the same level, the RSI is significantly lower, which means, what is the RSI? Well, it's a relative strength indicator, meaning the strength of Bitcoin at the same exact point is weaker, right? So think about it. If we collapse with this strength, why wouldn't we drop with a weaker strength, right? We are weaker this time. So it's just logical. It makes sense based on the RSI and this divergence. If you're weaker at the same levels, and last time you collapsed, wouldn't you drop this time too? Doesn't that make a lot of sense, right? So that's how we use the RSI divergence. On top of that, massive volume divergence. The higher we go, the longer this bull cycle goes, less and less buyers are stepping in. You can see that clearly and factually through the volume, right? So as time progresses, we see less and less buyers coming in. That's a fact. You cannot argue against that. It's shown there clearly in the chart. Third, moving average convergence, divergence, okay? MACD divergence. What does that mean? There's two ways to look at it, right? You can take the fancy, meaning of moving average, convergence, divergence, or we could just put that in simple terms. It's the momentum, okay? And you have a massive momentum divergence, which is a bearish divergence, which shows you that at this point in time, we have less momentum than we did when we set the peak back in April, May. So if you have less momentum than when you set the top, why would you break out to new all-time highs? That doesn't make any sense, right? And so we see that clearly within the histogram, which are these blue bars, right? So back when we set the peak, the histogram was above this 2,500 area. Now we're at 375, but let's just measure the peaks of these histograms, right? The momentum. You can see it's a clear divergence, right? Clearly, the momentum is lower this time than it was last time. And so when you add up these factors, all right, we're weaker this time. We've got less buyers this time. We've got less momentum this time. There is nothing bullish on this chart besides a longer-term uptrend on the chart, right? So this is what leads me to believe that we're going to be coming down to 47K, which is that blue line, the 50 weekly moving average, before getting any support. Now, at that point, we could have temporary support and actually break lower in Bitcoin, okay? So keep that in mind. My first target right now in Bitcoin is down to 47K, and that's because of this massively bearish weekly time frame. But if we take this a step further and look at the daily time frame, okay? This looks slightly bullish. Why? Because of the trend that we see right here, right? So this uptrend, right, since we set the low at 29K, is holding pretty nicely, right? So we got support, but I actually think that we're going to break through support of this trend line and head down to 47K. Does that make sense? And to me, it comes down to looking at the weekly chart and seeing how nasty, ugly, and bearish this is to understand that, okay, the daily time frame may be slightly bullish, but the weekly time frame is extremely bearish, right? So this is going to overpower what looks to be slightly bullish here, and that's why I'm taking the longer time frame, which is more reliable, than the shorter term time frame, which is the daily time frame, right? So you got slightly bullish on the daily because you've got this uptrend of support, but you've got extremely bearish on the weekly time frame. For that reason, I think that we will break below this trend line and we will see 47K. Remember, I could always be wrong, but this is just my opinion. And while every other channel is going to hype you up, put you on to garbage altcoins, garbage things, okay, I'm going to tell you the truth, how I see it, and what I'm doing. So, guys, that's my breakdown, and that's why I think Bitcoin will head lower. And on top of that, I want to show you one last clue that I've picked up on here in this chart, which is looking at Ethereum, right? You can see when we were coming up and making all-time highs, you can see the Bollinger Band was uptrending, right? It was slanted upwards. It was expanding up and out. Well, now, okay, the Bollinger Band is actually slanting downwards. It's downtrending or sideways trending when we're actually close to the all-time high, right? So what's the difference between calling a top in Ethereum now and calling a top right here? Well, when you call the top in Ethereum here, right, if you call the top, right, I'm giving an example, right? What's the difference between calling a top now and here? Well, before, if you tried to call the top on Ethereum here, the Bollinger Band, right, was still expanding up and outwards, right? It was bullish. It was trending upwards, right? Now, this volatility expansion, or I mean, that's what Bollinger Bands is, right? It's basically an equation based on price and volatility, and I'm sure there's some other factors in there. And so what the Bollinger Band is telling us now is, well, first off, you got to know what a Bollinger Band is. It accounts for 95% plus of, price action, right? Like, look at this chart. 95% of price action is within the Bollinger Bands, right? These green lines. And so think about it here. It was expanding upwards, which was showing us that price had a good chance and had the, that ability to actually continue higher, right? And stay within the Bollinger Band. Well, now the Bollinger Band is kind of not expanding upwards. It's not trending upwards. And so to me, that signals a lower high that we're going to be forming here. Guys, I could be wrong. I'm just showing you what I'm seeing. And so that's a major clue to me with this Bollinger Band slanting downwards that I don't think Ether is going to go much higher. I don't think Bitcoin is going to go much higher right now because it's had the time to accumulate here. It's had every reason to push higher now, right? You held support at this trend. And to be honest, we should be ripping. That should have been the bottom. And one thing when you're coming out of bottom, you fly out of the bottom. For example, we hit a bottom at 29K, you fly out of the bottom. You hit a bottom at 40K, you fly out of the bottom without stopping, without cooling down. Because once market participants have decided that it is the bottom, once it is apparent to not only big investors but smaller investors as well, once the market has decided it is the bottom, who doesn't want to buy near the bottom? So that's why we see price usually doesn't cool off coming out of the bottom. It flies out of there, right? So here you get 3, 6, 9, 10 straight green candles. Here you get 3 tiny little pause, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight basically massive green candles, right? Because that was the bottom. This was the bottom. This, okay, you get 3 green candles and we're already losing steam. We're already losing momentum. That is not a good sign. And when you combine the fact that the S&P 500, in my opinion, is going to struggle here, you got all the factors for continued downside, or at least not a rip back up to the all-time high. So guys, that's my breakdown. That's why I don't think, like all these influencers and channels are predicting and thinking, there's going to be a massive rally to the upside, massive altcoin season. I am not convinced. I'm betting against everybody out there who thinks that, and that's my opinion. So I think we're more likely to drop down to 47K than we are to set an all-time high. I am positioned accordingly. I have updated you on Twitter, and I've even shown you my plan. Hex, cash, and a tiny bit of ETH for gas fees. But guys, cash is the play right now, and I hope you found this video useful. That's just my opinion. I can always be wrong, but I'm always going to tell you in real time. I'm going to update you. And so, guys, if you want to be updated, you can follow me on Twitter at Trading Crashes. And most importantly, guys, you got to realize, right, everyone can make money when the market's going up. What happens when the market goes sideways? What happens if the market goes lower? 99% of people can't make money. That's a problem, okay? So if you want to solve that problem, make sure you sign up at crashtrading.com, where you get to work with me individually and I show you exactly when to buy, sell, get in, get out with profits, and we trade. So no matter if the market goes up or down, we're going to be profiting over the next 3, 6, 12 months, even if this market just goes sideways or down. So guys, if you want to ensure that you're actually profiting over the next year, 3 months, 6 months, however long this phase could last, make sure you join us at crashtrading.com. Now, at the end of the day, I'm just one man. I cannot see the future. I can only speculate and tell you what I'm seeing. So I've broken that down to you in this video. You got a highly bearish weekly chart, slightly bullish daily chart, and I'm not convinced that this uptrend is going to hold. I do think we will see 47K and head lower with time. It's not going to happen overnight. So I still see, at the best case, I still think there's a little upside, maybe up to 62.5, 60K in Bitcoin, and then it would go lower. But right now, man, it should already be heading up there, right? I told you, when you come out of bottom, you fly out of it. We're not flying out of it. We're already losing momentum. That's not a good sign, in my opinion. So, guys, that is going to wrap it up. I'll finish off by saying to not forget to follow me on Twitter if you want updates, because I can change my mind, and I will let you know and keep you up to date. And then join us if you want to trade these market conditions, because I'm telling you, a lot of people are going to struggle, I think, especially when 99% of people in the masses believe we're about to go for all-time highs. Everyone thinks they're going to have this big altcoin season, and they're all probably going to be screwed, man, in my opinion, or waiting for that, and then it's not even going to happen. And then, guys, if you want to join our Telegram group, I will leave a link in the description for you if you want to join our Telegram group. So, guys, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like. Make sure you subscribe. I know a lot of people will not like me being bearish. I know a lot of people will hate that I'm calling for a 47K Bitcoin and potentially lower. But at the end of the day, I keep it real on this channel. I tell you the truth. I don't sugarcoat things, and I give you my real, honest opinion. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like. Make sure you subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.